Live from the Skyrim AI headquarters in Bangalore, Karnataka. We're here today with Adrian from Reveal. He's doing some tremendous work. We're delighted to have him. Adrian, tell us a little bit about yourself and your Web3 journey.
Hey Tony, great to be here. Yeah, I'm the founder and CEO of Reveal. We're building what we think is the future of peer-to-peer payments, really transforming communication channels into payment pathways, and we'll get into all the details of that. But I got into crypto pretty early on. Started really digging into it in like 2016. In Had learned about it in 2013 when I was working in banking. Had come across the Bitcoin white paper, thought it was interesting, but didn't really know like how I could eventually leverage it. And then in
Mhm.
2016 started learning about smart contracts, and that's when the light bulb went on.
That's it.
I had worked before working in banking. I had worked in the music industry, and so was very familiar with how frustrating payments are in that industry.
Yep.
And as the owner of a record label and the manager of a band that had toured internationally, I had to pay artists all over the world, right? Sometimes artists in Mali, in Jamaica, in Chile, and those payments were super slow, super expensive. Sometimes I had to use like Western Union because some folks like
Right.
just wanted to receive
Yep.
cash.
Hmm.
So that like had always like stuck with me as a massive pain point, right, for folks. Anyways, fast forward to when I learn about smart contracts, I'm like, wait, this is amazing. We can automate money flows. And so I started digging around one first idea when I graduated from my MBA, which was really around like, can we automate the payouts for music royalties? And
Mm.
I think, to be honest, we were probably like 10 years too early with that first business. So we
Right.
eventually had to sunset that. And I do think that the music industry will adopt, blockchain in order to facilitate royalties, but
Hope so. Yeah.
we're still probably like 2, 3 years away from that. Anyways, learned a lot during that experience, and realized that there was one pain point that everyone who was using stablecoins to transact with was coming across. And I'm sure that you have, and probably most of your audience has as well if they've done a stablecoin transaction,
No
which
doubt.
is that you're usually like texting the person you need to pay, and you're like, hey, can I send you USDC? Nah, man, I want USDT. Oh, well, can I pay you on, whatever base network? No, I want to be paid on BNB chain. And
Right.
when we saw this, we were like, wait, this makes no sense. When we're
Uh,
trying to send money to each other, we don't need to agree on which payment rails we're going to use, right? Are we going to use Swift? Are we going to use ACH? Are we going to use UPI in India, or Pix in Brazil, or Zelle in the US, right? So we thought this was absurd, and realized there was an opportunity to abstract all of that, and that's
mm.
really what gave birth to Reveal and what we're building now. Building this account to account payment system that fully abstracts the fragmented payment landscape that we live on,
Mm.
in order to offer really easy, global, seamless, instant transactions.
Okay. Fantastic. Tell us a little bit more about the team that's cooking this.
Yeah, we're still super small and nimble. We're a team of 8. So I'm the founder, but I've been working with primarily 3 guys for pretty much since the get go. Tirta has been a crypto engineer for, I guess, close to a decade now, focused on security. He was auditing smart contracts with Y Academy, so obviously
Mhm.
crypto security background, and security for us is primordial. We're in the payment space. Fernando, our lead dev, he worked in banking for like 10 years, built payments infrastructure for big banks like BBVA, Santander. And Aldo, our product lead, who has been a serial founder, 3 exits under his belt, built businesses in gaming and health tech. And so that's sort of the core, but now we're 8 in total, still very much focused on product engineering with like 6 people there, and then 2
Okay.
people on the business side. Um, I think what's amazing is like today with AI, we can do so much with 8 people.
Mhm.
And so, we've been able to remain a quite lean team.
Absolutely. So yeah, why don't you go ahead and share your screen, walk us through some of the slides. One thing I was, particularly curious about is um, what is your view on, what the main problem is with the existing stablecoin infrastructure with USDC, with USDT, and with like the rails to, send things across different chains and wallets.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen and walk the community through at least some slides of our deck. Um, Mainly, I think to expose what the problem is, but also like where is this market going,
Mhm.
and why is it such a massive opportunity that we're going after? So here, let me
Sure.
go
And was also
to the
curious about,
deck.
use case. A lot of times when you hear about new stablecoin projects, they're predominantly focused on remittancy payments, at least for kind of like getting to Web 2. So was curious too about use cases. But yeah, we see the
Yeah,
deck now, so go ahead and dive in.
awesome. Yeah, so I'll briefly start with sort of the high level vision, right? But with Reveal, our goal is to be able to bring stable coins directly into people's messages. We think that as AI, really takes over financial services, people won't be doing peer-to-peer payments like they have in their payments app or their banking app. They'll want to be able to pay folks directly in their communication channels. And so we've built, this AI agent that allows us to do just that, right? And yeah, to hit on the problem, I think that the way I look at it is from a communication standpoint, we're all super connected, right? We
Mhm.
communicate with our families abroad on WhatsApp. We communicate with, freelancers and people we work with on Telegram, we're with gaming communities on Discord, whatever it is, like we're all connected online, but we sit on a super fragmented payment infrastructure, right? Like, obviously, you can look at fragmentation on a variety of different levels. Here, we list three levels, right? Like, what application are you using? Like, if you're in the US, some people have Cash App, some people have Venmo. Those two
Mhm.
environments can't transact with each other.
Right.
When you look at stable coins, as I was mentioning before, some people use USDT, some people use USDC, and if you're, not transacting the same thing, then the result is going to be a fragmented balance, right? Or you're going to
Right.
have to bridge and swap. And that's obviously not a scalable experience. Like, is your mom going to swap stable coins in order to transact? No, right. And
Yeah.
then obviously we've got fragmentation at the network level as well, right? Like some folks in APAC prefer BNB. Some folks in Europe or North America prefer Base. Obviously, you've got Polygon, you've got so many different networks, Solana, and so on. So that's the fragmentation at that level. On top of that, you got fragmentation with cross borders, basically, and sort of the jurisdictional fragmentation, if you will. And
Mhm.
so our vision is really like, how do we provide a payment experience that can cross all these different types of borders in a super simple UX? And we think we've built that with our agent, Riva AI, which basically allows you to integrate payments into your social media and communication channels. It converts your social handle, let's say you're on Telegram. So your Telegram handle becomes a payment ID. And then you can engage with the agent directly on Telegram and say, hey, Riva, send Tony like $20,
Mm.
and it'll identify you. It'll know what stable coin on what network, in which wallet you want to receive funds, and automatically settle that transaction in your preferred currency on your preferred network, right? And so on the back end, maybe I'm sending you USDC on Base. Maybe you want to receive USDC on Solana, or looking a step further, maybe I'm sending you dollars, and maybe you want to receive rupees or pesos or whatnot. So this creates this like universal payment infrastructure that just lives directly in our communication channels, and we think that's like super powerful because, again, it allows for these online communities to finally, transact as easily as they communicate. And that's really the vision. Maybe I'll come back to the stack and all that a bit later, but I think the why now is super important, because we're really going through a massive platform shift. And if you look at the payments sort of landscape, there have been very few moments where new entrants can enter the market and capture market share. And those moments have really been when there is a platform shift. And what I mean by platform shift is, prior to the web, we were doing payments via like our bank or with checks, right?
Mm.
And then when the web came, PayPal, launched, and obviously we all know the monster that PayPal has become, multi-billion dollar company. But they did that by basically, surfing on this new platform, which was the web, and offering payments on that new platform. The next platform shift was mobile, and with mobile, new entrants like Venmo came in, and they captured market share. And now we're seeing a third platform shift towards agents and AI agents, right?
Mhm.
And we think that the user experience of payments is going to change. The way people interact with technology is going to change. And so there is an opportunity to build agent native or AI native payments. And that's really what we're going after, right? Once we don't use, a web app, once we don't use a mobile app, like how do we actually engage with payments? And that's where Reveal is really looking to be the leader.
Okay.
So I think that's super relevant. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying that's excellent, but super cool. Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense.
And obviously, like, in, coordination with that, you've got a massive redesign of the payment rails,
Hmm.
with stable coins, which now make it, a lot easier and cheaper to transact across borders.
Hmm.
And so when you combine those two things, you have a massive, like, technology shift that allows for a totally new way of thinking about how we execute payments. And that creates a lot of opportunity for new entrants like Reveal to capture market share. Um, this technology shift obviously, is then amplified by the fact that there is a shift in user behavior. And that goes back to what I was saying before, which is like online communities, we're all connected globally through our communication channels.
Hmm.
And so how can we bring those two things together is really, sort of the intersection of where Reveal is at. Now, payments have always been a massive market. Peer-to-peer payments are around 3.2 trillion in revenue per year. Now, obviously, that sort of spans a lot of different areas, right? But when we look at the market that we can capture, we look at primarily at the number of users that could be using, Riva AI and our agent in order to execute payments. And our total addressable market is really pretty much anyone who's on social media or messaging apps, right? And so today that's about like 5.4 billion users. And so obviously a massive market that could generate, north of 36 billion in revenue. And that's with, fairly conservative revenue estimates, from a sort of average revenue per user perspective. However, like, where we're actually starting is with what I mentioned is like these internet native communities, specifically, creators and freelancers and expats. These are where we're seeing a lot of initial use cases. And that alone represents about, 180 million users who are somewhat sort of stablecoin educated. And that alone is like 1.2 billion in potential revenue. So that's a little bit about how we think about the market. Um, I think I jumped our traction slides here. I'll share high level traction real quick, and I didn't put the January numbers in this slide yet, but we're basically, continuing on our growth. We've processed close to 60 million in payments volume, since launching the agent at the end of May, last year. So this, in crypto terms, when you compare to like trading volumes, may seem very small, but if you compare this to payments companies, we're beating all expectations. I mean, usually in year one in peer-to-peer payments, you might target about 50 million in peer-to-peer payments volume. By the time we close year one, we're probably going to be closer to 80, if not close to 100 million in total payments volume. So we're obviously super super excited about that. Furthermore,
Stellar.
yeah, we've seen over now 2.5 million transactions done via the agent with our from our users. And monthly active users are remaining super strong above 120,000. In January, we were just around 120,000 monthly active users. So we're super super excited about the traction that we're seeing.
Very cool.
And maybe I think part of why we're seeing this traction is really because we offer something that others don't, right? It's like, AI native in your messages, really as simple as a DM to initiate a payment and global. So here I put Zelle as a competitor. For folks who are in India, they might know UPI, which is like the Indian version of Zelle. Zelle is the American version. Folks in Brazil might know Pix. Folks in Singapore might know PayNow. But all of these
Hmm.
are like
Yeah, everybody has
local.
their own UPI nowadays.
Right? Yeah, exactly. All of these are like local account to account payment systems.
Right.
And that's the space we want to play at, right? We're not competing with a wallet. We're really a payment layer that can sit on top of any wallet and
Hmm.
facilitate account to account transactions
Right.
directly in your messages, right?
Very cool.
For
And
those who
can
are,
the one quick question there
yeah,
too is
yeah,
can the
please.
agent scan the QR code as well, or is that something on the roadmap?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely on the roadmap. So we're gonna be giving the agent a whole lot of sort of payment use case functionalities.
Very cool.
Today, it's really, the initial use case is peer-to-peer transactions.
Right.
But we're looking at bill splitting, we're looking at invoice management, and I think what's really interesting and what folks perhaps have to understand is that once the agent is in your communication channels, let's say your WhatsApp, your email, your Discord, your Telegram, it understands how you transact and what are your, sort of transaction use cases. And so you might be, let's say you're a freelancer and you're talking on Telegram with someone you're working with, right? And the work is done and you need to send them an invoice. You can tell the agent, hey, send this party an invoice, and the agent will eventually generate that invoice and send it. And they might do that via email, right? But because it's sitting across all of your communication channels, it can understand what's happening across those. And so maybe you've got, different invoices coming in via email, but you're on WhatsApp and you want to engage there. That'll be possible. Another really interesting thing that we're starting to look at is social commerce because again, if you're integrated into social media, can you easily, tag the agent under an influencer's post and just say, "Hey, Briva, buy this lipstick," right? That this influencer is sharing, and the agent can go ahead and execute that purchase for you. So, that's the roadmap in terms of use cases is massive. And it can go from, taking a picture and sharing it with Riva of a QR code to execute a payment, all the way to like social commerce and pretty much anything you can think of. So, anyways, that's sort of like a high level overview of Reveal. I know that we're a few minutes away from time, so I'll stop sharing there. But happy to like answer any questions that might pop up.
Yeah, I was just curious a little bit about the token utility and tokenomics.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just for me, but you were a bit choppy, but I understood that you wanted to talk about the token. Um, so yes, the Riva token is basically the token that powers our our AI and our infrastructure. The way it works is the following: as you transact, you get cashback rewards in Riva tokens. If you refer users into the network, you get rewards in the token. And so basically, when you help the network grow, you get rewards. As the network grows, obviously, we generate more revenue, and a revenue share goes towards buybacks. So those rewards that you earned by helping the network grow become more valuable because of the buybacks, right? And so this creates a really great flywheel where the more you contribute to the network growth, the more rewards you get, and the more valuable those rewards become. And we think this is a really cool way to sort of look at what has been working in traditional payments with like credit card points, right? And implement that in a decentralized way that allows people to like participate in the growth of the network. And so we're super excited about that. There's a whole white paper, light paper that we've written that is available for folks who want to dig in. And we've shared some details around the tokenomics as well. We're working pretty quickly towards the TG and have very exciting partners. I mean, it's public that we did a small IDO with Binance Wallet that was way oversubscribed, over 26 million committed in a couple of minutes. And obviously we'll be launching with these partners and many more. So we're super excited about that. I think the last thing I'll mention is that we're offering Cyrene AI community some really great terms, same terms as a lot of our VCs have been coming in. So these are super advantageous, and we hope that the community will be excited to participate.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Sorry, the audio is cutting a little bit, but greatly appreciate it. Amazing explanation, and yeah, the product is phenomenal. So thank you.
Awesome. No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And obviously, if people are curious, they can join our community on Twitter with R3VL_XYZ. And you can find me at Adrian Stern pretty much on all socials.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.